Oh,
Guys, I'm just driving William to practice, but I'm here. Actually, he's driving me.
sounds good.
And then I'll unmute when I get home.
Hello, all.
Hello. Oh.
Very quiet rec board.
It's all the snow today.
Oh, that freaked me out a little bit when I saw that outside my window.
Yeah.
Hey, hi everybody. Hey, do we know who John, if you could put your last name in your chat, please, John, I just see your name is John. If you could put your last name, please.
If I knew how to do that, I would, but
Okay.
it's John Woodward here.
John, well, okay. Hi, John. All right. Very good. Thanks.
Yeah, first couple of meetings I was in, I had my wife's early intervention email up and I had no idea how to do it. I had to call her over to tell me how to do it.
Just so we don't want any spammers this month.
No, he's good.
Hey, Eric, just an update for you. I did report that to the police department and
good.
they somehow, I don't remember if they went through the district attorney's office or not, but they were able to trace it back to John and Steve, correct me if I'm wrong from council last week. Was it Russia?
In
Or-
Germany,
Yeah, it was
Sure.
somewhere overseas.
Oh, wow. Wow. Why missing must be an interesting place, huh?
Well, they said they couldn't tell if that was someone using like a jammer that scrambles where it looks like it's coming from, or if that was a legit location. But I mean, for obvious reasons, I wanted them to take a look at that.
Sure. Well, good. All
Melissa's
right.
quick on the trigger finger to boot people, so she's ready to go.
Yes, well done. All right, looks like we have a quorum here. So it's 7:01, so we'll call the March Rec Board meeting to order. First thing we'll do is take a roll call here. I'll just read off the names, and if you can just say here. We have Melissa Miller, she's on here. Dan McCrana,
here,
John Woodward,
Here,
Michelle Bear,
Here.
Natalie Loeb,
Here.
Kate Fanning.
Here.
Andrea
Here.
Berger, Jody Menon.
Here.
Sally Donato.
Here.
Eric Donahue. Yep, he's here. Eric, you're probably on mute. Jen
Here.
Raymer. Steve Bruner.
here,
Angela Doohan.
Here.
And did I miss anybody? Did I say Sally Donato? Did I get you, Sally?
Yep, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I believe that's everybody. Okay, great. So we'll, is there any public comment? Okay, not hearing any, we'll move on to approving the February minutes. Anybody have any additions or corrections to the February minutes? All right, I'll entertain a motion to accept the February minutes. Anyone want to make
I
that
can make-
motion?
I can make a motion.
All right, Sally Donato makes the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Eric Donahue, anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, next thing on the agenda will be to approve the financial report. I don't know if we have any activity on there. Dan, if there's anything you want to point out?
a little bit, you'll see stuff like pool maintenance, general maintenance, materials and supplies is starting to, kick up. We're starting to have an increase in that, obviously with the nice weather. One thing to mention, we did go a little over budget with ice pond maintenance. But we had a pretty good stretch there. We had a pretty good stretch there, where that maintenance was needed. So, but other than that, there's not a whole lot going on there. But like I said, it's just, we're kind of starting to see, you'll see in those different categories, it's going to start to pick up here with the nicer weather. So. But if
Okay.
anybody has any other questions, I mean, it's all pretty self-explanatory, but, I can help to explain any, and, or answer any questions you might have.
Any questions on the financial report?
I have none.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to accept the financial report.
So moved.
Made by Steve. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
And who is that?
Natalie?
Thank you, Natalie. Anyone opposed to the financial report? Okay, motion carries. That will take us to the Park and Rec Director report. Dan, you have the floor again.
Sure. As I have in the report there, we're continuing work on the newsletter, kind of tweaking that a little bit to, fit our COVID restrictions and policies right now. We're working on, updating the pool policies, the COVID-19 operation plans, kind of updating anything we need for the playground. you know, all those kind of like those clerical things, I guess you would call it. You know, we're working on getting them updated so they're ready for the pool and the playground program. Facilities, you know, as it says there, we're going to start the process of opening the pool. There's already been a little bit of work done there, some hazards removed from the pool, and that will continue. And we are, as it says there, you know, we're continuing working on our council approved rec board and council approved events. We did order the fish for the fishing rodeo, so that's all set to go. I did make contact with our trash and recycling haulers, and they are more than happy to help sponsor our Earth Day cleanup event. And they're going to be providing us with some materials that we need. And you know, we're still working on Memorial Day. As far as my report's concerned, that should be it. Any questions? Again, let me know.
Just a question, just on the Earth Day. I got your email earlier today, and that's good that they're donating that stuff. Is there going to be like a designated area with a dumpster?
Sure, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you guys about that.
Okay,
I
that's
think
fine.
we can. Yeah.
Okay.
I think what I sent off to Melissa was for the rec guide was, and I think she'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we still have a little bit of time to adjust that. But I thought somewhere around the old mill, that stone parking lot across from the pool, might be kind of a good central location to meet. There's obviously parking there, and
Right.
you know, we can kind of be off to the side. So I just made that. I had to kind of make that decision because we're the
Pressed for time.
letter and the rec guide are kind of
Yeah.
starting to.
No, that's
pick
fine.
up here,
Yeah,
so.
we can discuss that.
Yeah, and we can,
Okay.
you know, we can adjust that. So, and I'll be giving you a call tomorrow, Eric, so we can talk more about that. And
Yeah. That's good. Thanks, Dan.
Okay.
And when are the I don't know, applications due for people who want to work at the playground and pool?
That's a good question. We really haven't determined that date. I've received a fair amount of applications for the lifeguards. We just rolled out right after council meeting, council approval, of playground. Those went out the next day. I've started getting those back. We really haven't made I think they can keep sending them in. So if you know anybody, Steve, you can, you know, send them our way.
It's not that. I just didn't know when. I don't know when they were due. Okay.
Right. I would say probably sometime, you know, we want to try to probably have, and Kate, when she's done, can jump in on that. I would say we'd probably want to have people lined up by sometime in April, probably end of April.
Sure.
Make sure that, you know, because we got the onboarding process to take care of. So, but yeah, we didn't really determine, my apologies. We didn't really determine a date for that.
Are we making them do a CPR course?
For the lifeguards, I believe they would need to have that. And I believe in the past for playground, and again, anybody correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it's been mainly the supervisors, the head staff. I personally would prefer that everybody has that, because I am working on, I think in years past, we've had an AED on location, so I'm going to work on that again. Again, that's just my preference. I would prefer that all leaders have that, but again, correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody knows any differently, but.
In the past, the AEDs were donated by Western Berks Ambulance.
Right. And I spoke with them the other day, so I'm gonna officially contact them tomorrow about that.
Good.
Any other questions for Dan? Okay, thank you, Dan. That will take us to committee reports. I guess the first thing would be, do you have more to say about Earth Day? That's probably the first committee.
Yeah, Eric and I have been speaking, you know, here and there about it. We're kind of ramping up our efforts with that. Like I said, we got JP Mascaro agreed to donate 50 sets of gloves, vests, and tons of trash bags, and same with Advanced disposal. They were both, I mean, I emailed them one day and I mean, I had responses back within 12 hours from them. So they were extremely supportive. My question is, in the past, have we, or do we have the, do we want to reach out to them about some kind of advertising? I mean, I don't know what historically we've done, but I mean, they were really quick to donate to us. So I think that'd be a good thing just to kind of be able to mention them in our Facebook and flyer and all that stuff. So that's the only question I have about that. If everybody's okay with that, maybe we can put something, just, small little blurb for them.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah, if you put, we have, supplies and materials available to be picked up at this location, and thank you to these
Sure.
vendors who donated them, kind of thing.
Okay. And then the other committee, I guess, would be Memorial Day. We've had a lot of, we haven't had a meeting in several weeks now, but we've had several having several emails back and forth, and looks like we've got a high school group lined up. I think even their band, Natalie said that even their band is interested in, since they normally march, they would be interested in performing at the ceremony. So we're working on that. I've already secured the tent rental and some chairs. So all that kind of stuff, all that back work is already put in motion here. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna meet soon about that to discuss more of what we need to do and how we can make that event extra special. I think that's it for right now as far as committees.
Great. And the fishing rodeo, are you going to space
Yeah.
the fish out throughout the creek?
Yeah, my apologies. Yes, I've spoke with, that's the other committee. I've spoke with, if you want to call it that, I guess, committee, Eli and Peter, and they've been super supportive. They're both getting donations to help pay for the fish and pay for prizes. A little different this year. We won't do the fly fishing on Friday night because we're just not able to socially distance with that. But yes, we are going to spread that out. We're going to get together soon and evaluate the areas of the stream where everybody can fish, and kind of determine any areas that might need some pruning or any kind of maintenance to make that good for everybody from our end. So, and I think I ordered, off the top of my head, I apologize, but it's probably about 600 fish. So a little more than we've had. So
Good.
as far as committees, that should be it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure.
That takes us into old business. Sophia's Make-A-Wish, and Dan, refresh my memory on that one.
Sure. So that was back. I think Rob presented this to you last summer. It would probably been about midsummer. And all of you again are probably aware. Sophia's my daughter, and she's been awarded a Make-A-Wish. And before I was put in this position, we decided that we wanted to, we wanted her wish to be something that would benefit everybody, that would benefit not only her, but all kids with different types of disabilities in our community. So we thought a great thing would be some sort of playground equipment. Unfortunately, Make-A-Wish only gives you a certain amount of money, and playground equipment, as I'm sure you're all aware of, is very, very expensive. So we've broken it into two parts. And Melissa, if you can go to that picture. So if you look there, the Make-A-Wish portion would be the shade structure there. and it's hard to see, but there's a bench there. It's kind of the left of that steering wheel. That would be the Make-A-Wish portion. It's about, and we can go back up to the price sheet then, but that's about $7,800. And then what we're looking to do is do some kind of fundraising. And I think that would be, for me, that would be outside of my borough duties. We would be looking to do that. You know, my family and friends and everybody would be the second phase of it, which would be that actual structure. It's called a sway fund. There that you know, kids in wheelchairs, kids in walkers, things that, you know, that kind of hinder their ability to get on normal playground equipment, can access and have the same, you know, the same abilities at a playground that you know, quote unquote normal kids can have. So that's we're looking at about $31,000 for that structure right there. So basically what I'm looking at now is, I just wanted to run this by everybody. Where that would go is in between the larger play structure, which is ages 5 to 12, and the smaller play structure kind of heading towards the basketball courts at Happy Hollow, which is 2 to 5. It would be right smack dab in the middle, and where the post or the foundation for that shade structure would actually pretty much be right in the center of, if anybody's familiar with it, there's a little sandbox there. So we'd remove that sandbox, because that actually isn't really the most sanitary thing to have in a playground. So we'd remove that sandbox. In the first phase, we would just have the shade structure. Once we're able to raise the money, then we would put in the sway fund and those kind of accenting panels there. So I just, I think the object here is to make sure that everybody here is okay with that. And if anybody has any input on it, and please, if you have, you know, if you have any concerns about this or any input on it, please don't hold back. I mean, I personally won't take offense to it. You know, this is myself and Steve from General Recreation who are putting this together. So we're more than welcome, you know, we'll be more than welcoming to have other opinions on things like this. So, but
What
overall,
exactly-
sorry, go ahead, Steve.
What exactly is it that those kids are playing on?
So it's kind of like a seesaw. It moves. They're able to kind of move, but it's safe for a wheelchair to be on. But like I said, they're very expensive. And Melissa, if you wouldn't mind jumping up to the to those price sheets. That's for the shade structure alone, the shade structure as well as the bench. And that freight number, I think, is actually would be lower. So they'd be able to help us out with that freight. It's ridiculous how much. Oh no, I'm sorry. My apologies. He already did. The freight price for the bench was at like $2,000, because regardless of how big it is, they ship it in a truck and they charge you $2,000. So they helped us out with that. So you see, it's only $260, but it would be the Sophia Make-A-Wish portion of it. And then the next one would be where we would be looking to donate the funds. And we would donate that with the borough, and we would definitely, we've already gotten approval to get the Make-A-Wish, but we haven't necessarily gotten approval from Borough Council to, for us on our own, you know, my family, to go out and do the fundraising. But we'll be, you know, running that by them, but it would be donated money. So.
Are there any permit issues, Dan? Anything that needs to get covered in terms of?
We will run it by the engineer. It actually has to be run by the engineer, so they can tell us what, you know, if we have to have any grade issues or anything like that. So.
Angela, on top of that, the borough in general would require a building permit for the installation. Craft Code's the company that does all of our permit inspections. Anytime there's a borough permit, they obviously waive the cost of all the fees associated with it. But they would be doing the plan review, issuing the permit, and then coming out and doing follow-up inspections to actually issue a certificate of occupancy for it.
And is the permit cost and all of that paid for by the borough or in the fundraising?
It's waived. That's what I'm saying.
I'm sorry. I misunderstood.
Anytime we have a project of our own, Craft waives all fees.
Okay, great.
So,
Yeah,
you know,
Dan, just a
so
question.
go ahead, Eric.
Oh, I'm
Because,
sorry. No, it's not really a question. It's just a really quick point. When Andrew was little, I took him to playgrounds all over, and Exeter has one of those sway structures, and it's a great piece of equipment. I mean,
Right.
it was really, really fun, and we would take trips down there just for that. So I think it's going to be a great addition to the playground.
Right. And I feel like this would be a good thing for the borough. We really do a wonderful job. But here and there we need some help. I mean, this isn't cheap stuff for us to just put in. And I think this has really set us apart. And I think it's I think it's a great thing. And I just know from our personal experiences, there's a lot of times where there's not things that people like her can do. Yeah. So it was basically, I know a while back you guys had approved this, but I wanted to make sure that, there weren't any questions. The shade structure on the bench part of it would be able to, would be restricted to engineering and codes and all that stuff. But really, in theory, we could have it in next week. They're ready to pull the trigger. So, yeah, we're ready to go on that. So we've got to get through all those processes. But other than that, we're ready to go. And again, the other part would be we'd be doing some fundraising. So, yeah. So not to spend too much time on that. I just wanted to point that out to you guys.
I have one question, Dan.
Sure.
Where are you, like your fundraising? Is it just through the community, friends and family?
Yeah.
Like
So
corporate sponsors, or what do you like? Just
Right.
curious.
Right. So we're just in the beginning phases of that. We're probably going to do some type of online, like silent auction type, and try to see if we can get some local businesses to donate silent auction items or just donate funds in general. I think again, there's definitely a need for this in our community. So we're just in the beginning stages of that right now.
Okay. Very good. Okay, anybody else have any questions or anything about the Make-A-Wish? Okay. Next on old business would be the 4th of July at the mall.
Right. So pretty self-explanatory there. I think we had, kind of talked about that, but I think that should just basically say 4th of July in general. I'll defer that to you guys. Is now the time to talk about that? Do we want to, what do we want to do between now and the next council meeting? Does anybody, with what's going on and everything, does anybody have any suggestions?
I would think we almost have to talk about it at this point, depending on what we're going to do, or what we're allowed to do, to get people in line. If there is going to be a parade, if there's not, depending, I would think that, in the past, Rob, I believe, would start now trying to line up people. So I would think, this would probably be a good time to start.
Yeah. I mean, I think just like anything, like and my apologies. I think when I wrote this, when I put this agenda up, well, I did put the summer playground. Never mind. I'm sorry. I'm jumping ahead of myself. I did put the summer playground in there, but I know just from the talks about the summer playground program that, we can have this plan and we're going to need to be able to adapt to it at changing situations, circumstances at any time. So in my opinion, I think we should definitely come up with some kind of plan. And whether that's just, let's plan it, like a normal parade. And then in June, just say June 1st, if numbers are here, we can keep it at that, or, here's what we need to scale it back to. Kind of on my end, I think I'd rather, plan as much as we can. I think it's semi, I want to say it's easy, but it's not, but it's, semi easy to just scale it back from there, if that makes sense.
So Dan, am I correct? You said we could plan like a regular 4th of July parade
I mean,
and scale it back? No.
I don't see how you could possibly do that, Eric. I mean, not knowing what July is going to look like, but knowing that, Dr. Fauci and others are saying we might be able to have small backyard gatherings.
Yeah.
I don't see how you plan a parade where 10,000 plus people are going to be lined up shoulder to shoulder.
Right.
yeah, and I guess I should say, it, that I would just like to say, okay, here's the most, maybe I should put it this way. I shouldn't have said the full parade. I'd like to know what the most we can plan for, what the largest scale event that we're going to have that we can plan for, and go with that. So if that is, kind of like we briefly spoke of earlier, like the firecracker run and the house decorating and maybe some other events, then let's plan for that. And then, we can always scale back from there. So I don't know what to say. I mean, I've watched this parade my whole entire life, and I couldn't tell you all the events that we have. Like I said, I think we the firecracker run. There's the run. There's a house decorating contest, and is there something else that goes on before the parade?
The judging of the bikes and the strollers and the,
Okay.
but I was thinking if we use the Hills parking lot for the Memorial Day parade, we could judge those things if in the junior senior high school parking lot where people can spread out and say, I don't know if we have to get permission from the district. I don't know how that works.
Right.
But
And what is everybody else
I
on
think
the
at most,
rec
I
board?
think the biggest thing you'd want to do is if you want to have a road run, not that everybody takes off at the same time. Everybody leaves every 20 seconds or something.
Sure.
stupid. And if you want to have some portion of it that you can have kids riding their little tricycles down, maybe do it on the boulevard. I don't know. Just drive their tricycles down one side and do it. But I'm afraid that'll even bring too many grandparents and parents and anybody who wants to just get out and do something different.
Right. That makes sense.
So what about the idea of using the mall? Are we scratching that? Or
I
is that-
haven't received confirmation from the mall yet
Okay.
the tentative answer I got was, yeah, we're on board, but we need to talk to our attorneys about liability and how all of that works, and have not heard a peep from them about that despite a few reminders in weeks.
All I can picture, Eric, is the 4th of July being 105 degrees on black asphalt.
Yes, right. Well, I thought maybe instead of rec board going around giving out flags to everybody, I'll just load everybody up with vaccines and we can
I was
just
thinking the same thing.
throw and vaccinate everybody. What do you
That would
think?
attract a crowd.
Well, you're doing a good job now. So
Yeah.
Well, we could do it at Memorial Day, so by the 4th of July, everybody's vaccinated. How's that?
hey, I'm on board for that.
No, just kidding.
Listen, I actually think, Dan, we should look at this and say, I don't know what we can do. And as we get closer, we'll try to do something small if it's at all possible. But the reality of it is, I just don't know how we're going to have I get how you can have a parade, you just can't have people watching it.
Right. No, I hear you. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's either all or scaled back. So I want to know, like, how do you guys, how do you want me to proceed with that?
It sounds like, and if all the rec board members, a scaled back version, probably something that Steve was talking about, maybe we do the run, or we'd still do the judging of the houses.
Yeah.
And maybe we can incorporate like some sort of bikes in there, just small, which wouldn't, garner the crowds we would normally get, but at least the people specific to who are actually on those bikes, maybe their family members along the line.
Right. Right.
Just on a smaller scale, so it's something.
Sure. And my idea, I mean, going back to the Memorial Day parade is, I'm trying to figure out, or I should say the Memorial Day ceremony is better. It's a great ceremony, but in lieu of not having the parade and still trying to make it really special, I'm trying to figure out other ways that we can, little things that we can add here and there that really make it, the ceremony part of it, extra special. So, we can focus our efforts, for the 4th of July on little aspects of that, of the house decorating portion of it, and the bike or the road runner bike, a bike decorating, any of that. So I think that's where we're going to benefit, or where the community is going to benefit, is where we can kind of like come together and just try to add little extra little things to those.
So, Dan, so most of the planning and our budget for the 4th of July is hiring bands and things like that. So
Right.
are you thinking, or does the committee think, if we kind of scratch all the bands and the big draws to the parade, we can have it really just community based? Maybe the Why Missing marching band, maybe some kids on bikes. Like, as we get closer, if we're not having to coordinate and put any financial impact, we could, even a couple weeks before the parade, throw together other communities. If let's say they ease up on restrictions,
Right.
time in June. Am I off base here thinking that way? Like, not including the bands and all the financials and making deposits and commitments with places, that we can have it more just a real like community event with just people from the
Right.
borough participating.
Right.
Is that?
For me, that sounds like a great idea. I mean, I love that all the bands come from all over the place, but I think, I don't know, years ago it was probably strictly community members. And I'm not saying, hey, I'm all for the huge group and people coming from all over the place, but that would give you like kind of a certain sense of community when it's just us, I think that's actually a really good idea.
Yeah,
And
I
like I
guess
said, I
just
think-
just trying to figure out like what direction we're gonna go in.
Right.
We could still do, I mean, the whole thing about like car parades, that's been like COVID's, signature thing, doing a car parade, right? So you could still do like vintage cars and whatever the categories are.
True.
I think we're in the right direction, like taking
Okay.
away the big draw of the bands and the performances and the, like the grandeur of it probably is the way to keep the numbers down.
Right. Would it be okay if we just gave a recommendation somewhere along the line of a scaled back, kind of parade or celebration type, that council can approve, and we can have the ability to run our ideas by them monthly, or however we think that's going to work out. And at that time we can, kind of base, within a month before, whatever the numbers are, whatever the situation we're in, we can base that parade off of that. But yeah, like going off Angela, that, we know we can do the cars, we know we can do the run and maybe the bike decorating and like a little race or something. So,
So I see the problem isn't the parade. I see the problem is the people watching the parade, right? You
Yeah.
can space out a parade long enough. So whether they're in cars or not isn't the problem. It's whether
yeah, that's true.
700 people are going to sit in one block and drink 50 Bloody Marys each to watch the parade, right?
Yeah.
So the other option you have is to do it if you want to avoid crowds, if you want to do a quote unquote firecracker run. Aren't most of our runs now done in the park anyway? We could almost do it in the park, and that would drop down on the number of participants watching it, but we could decorate the park and put red, white, and blue streamers up and do all that kind of stuff, but that would eliminate, my parents watching their grandkids run a race, because they're not going to go up into Parkland to watch them.
That's not
I
a
don't
bad
know.
idea.
It's just a
No,
thought.
that's a pretty good idea, actually. I like that. It's different. It's, we have to adapt to our,
And I think the
adapt
idea
to our
is, the
surroundings.
idea this year is we could find out in June that we're allowed to do the whole thing. That'd be great. Wouldn't that be great?
Right,
It'd be too late at that point.
sure.
Right.
Just say we're going to try to adapt the best we can this year, and then we'll go big in 2022.
Sure. I don't disagree with that. That's not a bad idea. And, yeah,
It just seems like our options are pretty limited
sure.
in trying to draw any crowds, or not wanting to draw crowds, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, if you do something on the same parade route we always do it, you're going to have people pulling up. You're going to have people who usually have parties every year, and they're going to not want to have a party.
Yeah.
They don't want 60 people in their front yard. Listen, I would do the parade full scale. Just tell everybody they can't watch it. They have to watch it virtually, but that wouldn't happen.
Right.
So
Sure.
I think we got to scale it back and say this is just my opinion. And I think everybody on the board should vote yes or no, but I think my recommendation is based upon what we know today from COVID, that we should probably not attract 10,000 people onto the streets. of
Sure.
Monmouth.
Sure. I like the run in the park. We can kind of focus it around the Stonehouse and that area. Stonehouse, the parklands, takes less
Well,
resources on the borough end. On the
You don't have
borough's
to
end,
have
so.
75 police officers working to
Yeah.
close the streets down.
Hey, I'm sorry, guys. It was my fault. I moved on to the parade route last year, so it figures I cursed us. So,
All good.
all right. I mean, yeah. Sounds
Should we
great
have
to
to
me.
make an official recommendation, I guess, to council now on what we want, or do we just?
I think council would love to hear what you say. I don't know if council is going to agree with what we say, but I think they probably will if we're headed the route I think we're headed.
My thoughts are, we do, like Steve mentioned, a firecracker run in Parklands. And according to the guidelines, we can add things to the parade that would be more community oriented, with just kids for, things that are within our borough. And not, and then who knows, maybe we can book a last minute band if they change the guidelines and let 10,000 people gather on the streets.
Or add the cars.
Right. Yeah, right. If things ease up and we can have any type of parade, we can just add the cars, add the bikes, add the
Right.
stroller, add a band. But if the guidelines don't change, we don't do anything. We do a firecracker run and a couple other small things. Is
I
that
actually think I would go with that, being able to at least change it a little as we get further on, just, if anything changes with what the CDC says and everyone else in terms of groups gathering. But start out with a run and then just go from there and see if we can build it towards July. And if not, we just have something.
So I'd say we do a firecracker run in the park. How would you say that what do they call that when you have to be 6 feet apart?
Social
distance
distancing.
Run.
A
A
staggered
socially
start.
distanced run.
Yeah. And
We'll do a staggered start
and
with
at this
that.
point, the most we're hoping for is a parade that would be a community-based parade without crowds. And we'll adapt to that as time comes with recommendations from the CDC. But at this point, I don't think we can do anything.
Yeah.
Can we not add house and block decorating?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And house and block, I don't have a list in front of me of what normally happens, and I don't want to miss out on anything, but I think we can do that, the run. Is there anything else? Does anyone have their rec guide near them?
Well, I'm looking at Rob's stuff.
I was wondering.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Go ahead. I'm looking. Well, let me look through this. Go ahead.
Could we possibly have kids decorate their bikes and then maybe take pictures? And we could maybe, I don't know, put them up on our Facebook page, or it's still like, all those kids getting to do that activity that they enjoy. But if we can't figure out a way to do it with them together, at least they have a chance to show off their creativity.
Well, I think you could do that and actually give them a parking spot, and everybody gets one parking spot in the parking lot somewhere. And
That's good. Yeah.
you know, or every other parking spot to make everybody happy. I think you could do that somewhere. I just don't know where.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a
Either
trunk or
send-
treat kind of.
Or maybe do it by division, just use the pool parking lot in the morning.
Huh.
You know, whatever the age brackets are, they go and they stay 6 feet apart, show off their bike, next group.
Yeah.
And then we're close. If we have the firecracker run, it's all close to being there, right?
Right.
And that's kind of one of those things where we can, where we can run by council, and I think, we can, within reason, make slight changes that don't affect, the overall picture. That
Does
You know what I
anybody
mean?
on this committee feel like we should go full bore and do the regular parade like we always do?
No.
No.
Okay, good. All right. So
um, yeah,
then,
look,
Eric, I don't know, maybe there's a recommendation to do a firecracker run in the park, socially distant, try to do the decorating contest, the house, the blocks, the bikes, the scooters, the whatevers. More to come on that as to where that would be. And if something breaks and there's a miracle, the last minute, we'll try to throw a parade together.
sure.
I like that. Anyone have another idea?
No.
Anyone want to agree to that?
Yeah.
I don't want to make the motion because I'm gonna have to vote on it later.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion by Eric.
Second,
Was that Kate that seconded?
or whomever.
Okay. Anyone opposed to the recommendation of council as stated by Steve? Okay. Motion carries.
D.
Very good.
I think when the public starts crying about it, and I listen, I want to have the parade too.
Oh,
We can tell them we can have the parade, but no one's allowed to attend. So it's either one or the other.
Yeah.
that'd be fun enforcing.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
No, it's all right. That was a great idea, Steve. I really like that. So, and then Eric, are you okay if I just jump on to the next one?
Yes, sir.
And it's the concerts in the park. I believe we had briefly spoke about that we talked about moving the first concert in June to sometime in the end of the season. So I was thinking, between August and September.
Sorry.
And of course, give me a second. My apologies again. I'm like super not prepared with this. I can get the dates for that. That way I can show you. Just give me a second here. I'll pull it up. So I think it's like around June 13th. But overall, if you guys, what do you think about that? If we move it, how do you guys want to handle the concerts in the park? And, do we just want to move that first concert to a later date?
Before everyone weighs in on that, can I just chime in? Something I was looking in the PRPS recommendations, which they told Dan very clearly they're gonna update between now and June 1st. But right now for outdoor entertainment, we still have to limit occupancy. And there's a whole host of, we have to set up entry lines, we have to provide social distancing, spacing. So one, I think pushing off the June date to later in the year where hopefully the guidelines change and become less restrictive works in your favor. But keep in mind that if a somewhat different version of these guidelines doesn't come out in time for the July event, we would have to find a way to basically count people that are coming in to the Stonehouse facility, or consider doing it at the pool or somewhere else where we can limit occupancy because there's an entry point. So that's just food for thought.
Sure. And it looks like the tough thing is the first event, the first concert in the park is the concert at Wyomissing Hills, and that's on June 4th. And then the next one looks like it's June 13th at the Stone House. And then after that, we jump to July 18th. So in my opinion, the next kind of distanced, as far as the calendar event is the July event. I mean, June 4th, June 13th to me is not, it's not that crazy.
Is June 4th the movie in the park? Is that what that is?
Yeah. So that's,
Well, again, this is my third meeting in 24 hours. So let's not overcomplicate this. How about we just say we move the June 4th and the June 12th, wherever that day was, concerts to the end of the year. And
Sure.
we'll see how July works based on CDC guidelines.
that works for me.
Yeah, if
Sounds
the
good.
movie in park's mostly for little kids, that week after playground ends and before a whole lot of sports start for the little kids, might be a good time to do that movie.
Okay.
So I'm gonna make the
Sorry.
recommendation that we move June's to sometime in September, at a date to be determined. And we'll play July by ear.
Sounds
I
good,
just want
buddy.
Wait.
to say one thing. Go ahead. I was going to just agree with Michelle, what she said. If we can do these, the pool might not be a bad idea to use, just because it might be easier to count people going in and out when you have an entrance specific right there, rather than having to set up a perimeter at the Stone House. It's just a thought.
You'll also already have your socially distanced circles or X's marked where, families or groups
Right.
coming together can sit, that we don't have to mark up, one of the Parkland properties.
Yeah, I think
That's
that
only
would,
gonna be
if
3
it,
feet apart now. It's a lot of paint.
Yeah.
yeah, but I do think that's a good idea, but that's just my thought.
So the June 4th one is, which one are we moving to the pool, the concert or the movie? Perhaps, which one is that?
Maybe both.
Yeah, I
Oh.
would suggest both.
Okay.
Why don't we
And
just plan them all to
if
be
we
at the
do this
pool?
in-
Why don't we just plan them all to be at the pool unless we can change it? Then we'll move it to where they normally are.
Right, so if it's after Labor Day, then that might not be. I don't know. Are we allowed to have people on the pool after Labor Day, when it's closed?
Yeah, that's true, because after Labor Day, if it's closed, there's no guards there. So if you have people in there.
Plus they're, tearing it down, emptying it, doing
Right,
maintenance.
but that's,
Hey,
yeah, and that's a really good point. The nice thing about that is that by Labor Day, we should be in a better position. So I think
if we
obviously
can't do it
our,
in the park by Labor Day, we got a bigger problem.
yeah.
I'm
Yes,
just being
but
realistic. I mean, you can't depend on the pool if it's not gonna be open, so.
Right. No, I agree with you, Kate. And I, like you said, if it's not open, I don't particularly think that's a great idea to have people in there when there's not lifeguards on duty. It doesn't matter where they are. So, that's probably not a bad idea. But, I'd say if we could just plan up to Labor Day at the pool.
Yep. Yeah. My own concern wasn't lifeguards, it was the fact that it's being broken down and emptied and worked on, and it becomes a hazard for the public.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
usually, we could delay that,
Okay.
that could be.
Okay.
I
Let's
think.
not kill this thing. Let's move the June. I recommend we move the June ones till after the last one that's scheduled in August. We'll see how July works, and it may be at the pool.
Sure.
I'll make a motion for that.
Sounds good. Motion by Eric. Do we have a second?
I'll second Andrea.
Andrea, thank you. Anyone opposed? All right, that recommendation will go to council, right, for the concerts in the park. Does that go to council, or is that our decision? I'm sorry.
I think that this gets recommended to council.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, moving on to new business. Speaking of the pool,
Yeah, so the pool openings, we're gonna have registration opening up soon. We're working on just getting some things. We had a couple, for both pool and playground, we had some issues with getting some things uploaded on that program, and it was combination of things. So we're gonna get that opened up soon. I take it that we want to do the same thing that we did with the pool as we did last year. I mean, you know, it's kind of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. If you guys don't, you know, think otherwise, let me know. But it seems like the plan that was put in place last year worked. The scheduling, the way all that, the way that all played out seemed like it worked really well. So I would think that, again,
Yeah.
if there's any recommendations for that, but that's kind of the way I'm going to handle it, unless, told otherwise.
I agree with that. I think it actually worked very well with the cards and everything.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but we're allowed more people at the pool this year than we were last year, at least according to the regulations we have right now.
We are, and the numbers only went up. So in each
452.
Yeah, but I was looking at what was it, Michelle? Like 130 in each section.
Oh, in the actual pool, it was 25 bathers per zone. So the pool is broken up into 5 zones, which got you 125 bathers at any given time. We basically took the square footage of each zone that was already provided, erred on a slightly side of caution, and went 7 square feet per social distancing. So broke it into 49 square feet per swimmer, bumping it up from 36 square feet. And then I don't remember what the total was off the top of my head, but obviously we're getting additional people in the pool compared to last year.
Right. I think
the total occupancy of the pool property went up from 250 last year to 452 this year. So that's good too.
Yeah, because I believe a lot of people, because of the delay of opening the pool, will join that didn't join last year, that might have joined the Hills or other pools in the interim. So I do think that I do think we're going to be up, I would say significantly actually from last year.
Yeah, I mean, we basically broke that down into, like I said, they were already broken down to areas, and some areas with the percentages and numbers came out to 32 bathers and some 45. And we're just like, let's just make it a even number. Can you imagine being a lifeguard having to say, okay, what area am I in and how many numbers am I supposed to have? So the only difference, the only other thing notable worth mentioning is for special events like swim meets. They recommend that we follow the 20% rule. So the 20% of the capacity of the total capacity of the pool. So that would be 181 people. So any special event would be limited to that, but actually that brings out whole thing about the concerts. So I'm not trying to pay that
Listen, that sounds like a swim meet without moms and dads, or one mom or dad per one parent per
so-
kid. That's the way everything's been there lately.
Just so you know, I sit on the board of Berks County Swimming Association. So we had a board meeting last week, and we have a member meeting the last Monday in April. So what the board is doing is we're coming up with different scenarios for the swim season. Just exactly what Steve just mentioned. We got to go to Wilson this winter. One parent could go to the meet. So depending, like you could walk into Crestwood and they have different guidelines than Wyomissing, and they have different guidelines than Wilshire, and et cetera. So the goal of the Berks County Swimming Association is complete flexibility. So you have to adhere to whatever that pool is stating that needs to be done.
Sure.
And that is the agreement with the board. So then we will present this to the members, and we will, we're kind of doing the same thing as like the 4th of July. If we can do more, we can. If we can't, we keep it restricted, and each pool has to adhere to their guidelines.
Okay. So then I don't know that we need to do any more with that. But
I'd say the only thing we have to do is tell everybody, somehow get on the website that council has approved in some form or fashion the pool opening and playground opening, more to come. So people have an idea of that we're working on this and know what we're doing, and not wait for that booklet to come out.
Sure.
Good idea.
Agree.
Everybody okay with us also posting that on our Facebook page?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
We can get that done.
Okay, then just lastly, like I said, the motion that we made that motion in the special meeting, which was basically, it was gonna be, to hold playground in 1 week sessions with very limited numbers due to the guidance we had at the time. The very next day, the Pennsylvania Recreation Park Society completely changed that guidance, came out with the new guidance. So what we had to kind of react, quickly on that. So we recommended to council to hold a playground program at Happy Hollow, Wyomissing Hills, with staying within the guidelines. And like we said, I believe we talked at the last meeting or at the playground meeting about making tot lot and playground the same time. So it's more convenient for parents. So everything would be from 9 to 12, Monday through Friday. Playground will have their night program from 6 to 8. And we will follow the most up-to-date guidelines as far as occupancy, distancing, all that. So any questions on that? That's it.
I have a question about the numbers, because I saw that you guys tried to open up playground registration. What are we capping our weekly numbers at? Just
Yeah, that was another issue. A lot of right. That was another issue that wasn't right. There was a whole bunch of things that weren't right with this. It's tough to say because it's 50% of the total capacity of the property, and if you look at it's either that or 67 people per 1,000 square feet. And Happy Hollow is like 324,000 square feet. So I think the biggest thing was not really the numbers issue. It was making sure that we are, following procedures, keeping people in pods, keeping the kids separated, making sure that we're following all the procedures that, the CDC, Department of Health, all that has laid out. So that was the bigger issue because we felt like, I know that I brought up, I was pretty passionate about the whole issue with the pavilions and shade and all that. But in the end, in reality, and I know you pointed that out as well, Angela, in reality, a certain percentage of the kids are going to hightail it home if a storm comes in or, whatever happens. There's a certain percentage of people that are going to have their parents pick them up, and then the rest are going to be there. And we're going to socially distance them and protect them, the best we can. So, like I said, overall, I think it's making sure that we're keeping up with the bathroom cleaning policies and procedures, the social distancing, making sure everybody's cleaning all the time, and adjusting our programs accordingly. So, if there's a hands-on program, obviously we're not going to do that. We're going to, come up with something else. So.
The other plus to the way that motion was worded and approved is that council gave key borough staff members, which would be Pat, myself, and Dan, the authority to make adjustments to the program plan as guidelines, restrictions, and guidance change. So it's not like every time the state, the CDC, or PRPS update the guidelines, we have to come back to the rec board and say, hey, now we need a recommendation for approval to do this and take it back to council. As things open up, we naturally can open up based off a recommendation from Pat, myself, and Dan.
Smart move.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'll do my best to keep everybody informed. And, I know as we get further and further into it with both the pool and the playground, I'm going to be, having more contact with the key staff that's worked there in the past so that we, so that they're more involved with this and, are really, really cooperating together, that we're cooperating with them as far as the planning goes. So.
Dan, who's in charge?
We approved 9 to 12 Monday through Friday, 6 to 8 Monday through Thursday, and it's at both playgrounds at the same time.
Right. I apologize. I think I said 6 to 8 Monday through Friday. It's Monday through Thursday like normal. No pizza night. Unfortunately, none of that extra stuff unless something crazy, we get some crazy, awesome changes in the guidelines, but just doing the program the best we can with what we've got.
Dan, who's in charge of the playground? Who's the person? Is that person coming back this year?
Yeah, I've been in contact with Julie Heller. She does plan to come back this year.
Okay.
And we're gonna work on, we're working on that. Those letters had just gotten sent out to them after the last council meeting, so they're starting to trickle in, so we'll get,
Just so you know, I got contacted from Scott Williams. He just got his letter today that was sent in January or February. So if you're not hearing back from people, I texted the guards and said, hey, look at your snail mail. There's a letter and you need to get back.
Sure.
So, but he just got his letter and that's that. So if you're seeing a delay, I ask you to consider the postal services
Sure.
timely or not timely.
And I have a checklist, and yeah, that's probably what's happening. So I have a list here that I'm, and you can see we're on the computer and everything. We're highlighting everybody's names as they're coming in. They have a folder on the computer, the whole deal. So as we get closer, if I haven't heard from them, I'll contact them just to double check. Yeah, because I know I understand it's been a while. So
yeah,
I assume, Kate, you prefer to have as many of the lifeguards back from last year as you can.
Yeah, Dan and I went over the list of who I would
Give them
recommend
every chance to get their
returning.
stuff in.
Yeah, and I let them know, but I just thought it was important to know that Scott has been looking for the letter and just was letting me know that he got it today.
Okay.
When you mailed it, I think the date was February. So 21st or 22nd, he sent me information so that I could give it to you, to let you know that his letter was delayed.
right, and also, I mean, it's worth noting that some of that stuff probably was dated at some, on the 21st, but didn't get sent out for a couple days because of, approval reasons and, things like that. So, and then to add on to that, the mail and all that stuff. So,
Okay.
So other than that, I will not drag this out anymore, or I will not, try to drag it out anymore. So I don't have anything else as far as new business.
Anybody else, new business? Okay. Any correspondence, Dan?
No.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to close.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Eric,
Seconded by Angela.
second by Angela. Anyone opposed? Okay. Good night, everyone. See you next time.
Thanks so
Yeah.
much.
Good night.
See you guys.
Night.